Welcome to the very first episode of Why Do You Think? The podcast where we ask the uncomfortable questions, challenge beliefs, and honestly talk about atheism. Skepticism, reason, humanity. I'm a humanist by nature. So why this podcast? I plan on making this a whole podcast. And I understand, you could throw a stone and you could hit 10 podcasts of all different things. You got some that are jokesters. You have some that one person plays the smart guy where the other one plays the dumb guy. You've got Atheist Podcasts. You've got just random stand-up type podcasts where they continue to just talk, and for some reason they're really quick-witted, so the things they talk about is just funny. Why this podcast? So I've been going over with it with a few friends. They've been very supportive in all my social media stuff. I do have two other YouTubes. I have YDU Games and Dustin YDU. Obviously, YDU Games is just gaming, and Dustin YDU is just random stuff with me and my girlfriend. I haven't posted in a while, but I'm going to. But talking with her friends, now she has some pretty smart friends. They are highly educated, big college degrees. Unfortunately, I don't have that. Excuse me. My allergies have been really bad lately, so my throat is all... I'll try not to cough in your ear. I'll cough to the side, don't worry about it. Well, they told me that they think it would be a good idea to have an atheist podcast. And I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, I've done atheist videos before in Dustin YDU, and I've done it on my Dustin YDU TikTok, and, I wasn't sure what direction I wanted to go with it, so I just never went with it. And then they heard my stories about me actually helping people who were fighting themselves. That's the word I like. That's the phrase I like to use. Fighting themselves. They're battling religion. They've been religious their whole life, and suddenly they're having doubts. They're scared to come out and say, "Hey, I have questions," because anybody that they actually know is incredibly religious, and if they ask any of them, they're scared of being shunned. They're scared they're not even going to get any answers, which chances are they're not, because the best answer they can hope to get is, "Oh, the devil's just lying to you." You've heard that one before, right? The devil's just lying to you. You have to pray on it, and he will give you the answers, all the answers you need. And all that really is just you thinking to yourself, right? Do some sort of mundane task where you're just doing the dishes, or my job, for example, where you're just thinking to yourself all day, and then all of a sudden an idea pops into your head, and they would say, "Oh, God sent you that message." I'm digressing a little bit. So they said that they think it would be a good idea for me to make a podcast about helping people battle their doubts, help their doubts, I should say. If they're not comfortable asking the questions, they can always come here. Why do you think? I think that is a very appropriate name. I've been branding the YDU. It stands for You Do You. It originally stood for You Don't Understand, but You Do You sounds good. So why do you think? And I'm just like, oh, that is brilliant. I love it. So they think I would be a really good doing a podcast like that. I wasn't always an atheist, I spent most of my life trying to prove to myself that there is something outside of the physical world, outside of the physical realm, if you will. I've followed so many different religions. I've tried so many different religions. Obviously, originally Christianity. I was raised Catholic, but I was too young to know what that meant. I didn't know what God actually was. They say he's everywhere, and I remember as a kid thinking, I don't know what you're talking about. But I was a kid, and I was kind of a goody two-shoes. I wasn't the type of kid to question the adults. If I say, I don't know what you're talking about, They would try explaining it to me. And by then, my ADHD would kick in, and my mind would be elsewhere. It's like, dude, I don't know. I still don't know what you're talking about because, frankly, I haven't been listening. I was a kid. That's what kids do. You don't even need ADHD to have ADHD as a kid because kids are just wired that way. They can't focus on just one thing. They're all over the place. They're running. They're getting into stuff. Why do we indoctrinate kids? They don't know what the hell you're talking about. I don't know why I'm yelling. It's kind of a sensitive subject for me, I guess. It's like indoctrinating kids, and you see what babies have to go through when they're in the church, getting baptized and all that. So I wasn't always an atheist. Like I said, I was going through multiple religions, and I did my best. I did my absolute best. I read from their holy book. I prayed. I did everything according to the church. It was like, hey, do this, do this, do this. Why is nothing working? I've got family members, and I won't specify any of them, saying that I just wasn't doing it right. You're not doing it right. You're not doing it right. That's why it's not coming to you. You didn't say the prayer, the salvation prayer. You got to say the prayer for your soul to be saved. And once you say it, even if you become a bad person later in life, your soul is saved because you said the prayer. But only after you say the prayer will God come to you. I've got questions about that too. Like, where did you get the prayer from? Did God give it to someone? Because they didn't say the salvation prayer before they got the prayer to say the salvation. It drives me crazy. My turtles like to mess around in their tank. When they want your attention, they'll slam their shells against the tank to be like, hey, pay attention to me. Maybe I'll show them to you someday. They're fine. I also went into the Wiccan religion, paganism. I was big into that for a good amount of time. And I actually got into it shortly before it became a fad, right? Just one day, nobody's heard of it. The next day, everybody's Wiccan. Everyone's pagan. Everyone's saying, yeah, third rule. Third rule. I know what I'm trying to say. It's on the tip of my tongue. But you get my point, right? Magic is a thing. Dragons are real. Fairies are real. Everything you've ever heard of is actually real just because you haven't experienced it. The reason you can't experience it is because it's all there. It's all natural to you, so that's why you're not noticing anything. You ever go looking in the fridge for milk and you can't find it anywhere even though it's right in front of your face? That's basically what I was preached about that. I tried spells, the Wiccan spells, witchcraft. I bought so many candles, I still have some. It's been at least 10 years, maybe longer. I have no idea. I have so many candles that I used for like rituals and stuff, and I stopped doing the rituals, so I kept the candles for when, the power goes out. I still have them. I have a big box under my sink. I got an Ouija board. No, I got 2 Ouija boards. Because I was desperate to find something. Do you guys mind? You're going to hear splashes and stuff. I was desperate to find something outside of the physical world, right? I got 2 Ouija boards. Now, you ask any religious person, oh, that's invoking the devil. That's invoking demons. In the Wiccan religion, you got to make yourself a protective circle in order to not get the demons, but get the good ghosts, the good spirits. I don't care. I'll get anything. If the bad ones want to come out so bad, they can come out. It's something to prove to me that there's something outside of the physical world. I don't care if I get cursed for eternity. As long as I see that goddamn demon, I'm convinced there's something out there. Okay, my whole life I tried. There was absolutely nothing. I got 2 Ouija boards. One was brand new from Walmart, right? I forget the ages. Like they said, like 13 and up or something like that. You got to be 13 years old to summon the devil. And then I got another one because I went to this, what do they call it? I think it's called an estate sale, where this woman died. Okay, this older woman died for whatever reason. I didn't hear her story. and selling all her possessions, right, to make money for her funeral, for the family, whatever. And apparently she was the spiritualist type woman. She had an Ouija board. An old woman's Ouija board. I have no idea how old that thing is. I just know it was messed up, right? The cardboard is frayed and there's scratches on the lens. It was used. So I'm like, that's perfect. So if this brand new one that's never been used doesn't work for me, maybe this really old woman who is big into spirituality, who's used it many times, will. Got it for $1, I think. I love telling people it like this. I'm like, I used the Ouija board 500 times. I don't know if it was 500, but I know I used it a lot, both of them. I looked up YouTube videos on the tutorial on how to actually summon demons and spirits and all that stuff to get them to come out, especially if you're using the Ouija board. I did the protective circle. I did it without the protective circle. I've lit so many candles. It was a legit fire trap the way I lit so many candles, because they say spirits can see candles. They can't see much, but they can see candles. Okay, well, my room is a beacon. Come on out. I'm trying to talk to you. So I love telling people I used that Ouija board 500 times. And one day, it freaked me out. And I always get the same reaction. They're like, what happened? I go, nothing. 500 times and absolutely nothing happened. It freaked me the hell out. All these people saying they're spirits and ghosts and demons and God and angels and nothing. That's when I started diving more into atheism. I didn't know it was called atheism. I just knew I didn't have any beliefs. I don't know where I started hearing that term, but once I finally heard the term, wherever I got that, I started looking it up. It's like, all right, there's plenty of YouTube videos on atheism, I found out. You know, people talking about it, people dismantling the Bible, people saying there's no reason to believe in spirits because there is no evidence. My entire life trying to go into this spiritual journey, I'm like, there's tons of evidence. I was fooling myself because I really, really wanted there to be evidence. Remember ghost hunters? I think they call it taps. I'm not sure. They use the K2 meter. I got one of those. I think. I had one of those. I don't know. Maybe I got rid of it. I haven't seen it in a long time. Maybe it's here. I don't know. And found out your phone can set it off. I'm not kidding. If you have a K2 meter, turn it on. Leave it on. Take your phone out. Send a text. As it's sending a text, that K2 meter will spike like it was supposed to when there's ghosts around. Any interference will do that. And now you got 5G all over the place, maybe more now. And it's like, yeah, no, even if the K2 meter worked, it's not working anymore because there's so many waves of data being flown around. Wi-Fi. I'm sure Wi-Fi would set it off. Oh, that's a good question. I kind of want to test that now. Anywho, I had the K2 meter. I went on ghost hunts. Absolutely nothing happened. See, atheism, it's not a religion. It's not a belief system. It's not worshiping science or hating God. I mean, I hate God, but that's not what it's about. And it's not just not believing in gods. It's because there's no evidence that any of it exists. Atheism is about proof. I like the way Seth Andrews puts it. I listen to him all the time. He was actually one of the first people I started listening to, and he still does his podcast often. Seth Andrews, the Thinking Atheist. Love that guy. Love that guy. What I would do to meet him. So, this isn't just a soapbox, okay? I mean, this episode is, but it's not just a soapbox. I'm wanting to do this to help people. If you're struggling with your religion, if you have questions, if you're like, who can I turn to? Who can I talk to? I want to talk to someone. Yeah, there's tons of videos, but I want to talk to someone about it. There's no one to talk to because all my friend group all is completely devout into the church. That's what it's about. I plan on helping people. I plan on taking calls once I figure that out. Apparently, there's a lot of ways to do it, and I have no idea how to do any of them. Not yet, anyway. I plan on having guests. I already have a few friends that are like, dude, you have to put me on. I have so many stories. Okay, sure. There's a lot of debates, right? Podcast debates having to do with atheism and Christianity or otherwise. I don't plan on doing that. I mean, it's probably going to happen, especially if I'm taking calls. Someone's going to slip in and they're going to be like, so, you're going to hell and here's why. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Let's talk. Because it's not about just helping people, who have questions. This is about changing minds. That's the whole point of me wanting to do this. I had a work friend. I don't know why I can't remember her name. We talked every single day. Why can't I remember her name? Very sweet lady. Very sweet lady. She had a high-pitched voice. Some people found her a little annoying, but they still liked her because she's a good person. All-around good person. I sense a cough coming. Excuse me. All-around sweet person. She had a husband. She met her husband in Morocco. She's 100% American, right? Born here. For all I know, her parents were born here. Who knows? She's white, right? She met her husband in Morocco. 100% Muslim. And Morocco. Well, I don't know if you know Morocco. For those of you who don't know Morocco, it's a very Muslim place. The kind of place where you don't want to say you're not Muslim, especially if you're a citizen there. Obviously, they get people visiting, and they don't expect everyone to be Muslim. But if you're a citizen there, you better be Muslim, right? So he came from a place where there was no such thing as not being Muslim. Those types of places, those types of people, I've never banked on changing minds there to people like that. It comes from a place where there was no such thing as not being that. But she did. She's American, right? She became full Muslim so she could marry him. She loved him. From what I hear, he's a good guy. I've never even met him, actually. I find that amazing, actually. I've never met him. I may have caught a glimpse of him, like if he was picking her up from work. So me and her had a very special relationship, right? She's nice to everybody. She talks to everybody. She actually talked too much, but me and her had a special relationship. Every single day, one of us would have a question for the other. I was already an atheist at this point. And so we would come in, and she would ask me a question. For example, do you believe everything happens for a reason? No, I don't. And she's like, she had such a confused look on her face. Really? Why? And that's our whole relationship. We ask questions, and then we ask why. And we kind of leave it at that. We almost don't even give our original opinion. We just ask questions, ask why, and then we go to work. We worked on opposite sides of the building. She asked me if I believed that everything happens for a reason. I said no. She said, why? I go, I believe everything happens, right? Hardships happen to everyone. Death obviously happens to everyone. Everyone has feelings one way or another. Even if they're a psychopath, they have some sort of feelings, right? They can't have nothing. Everybody has injured themselves one way or another, whether it's small or large. I've never broken a bone, for example. And she goes, yeah, but what if you experience something and you learn from it and then it happens again, and so you are prepared to fix the problem right then and there? Doesn't that mean that happened for a reason? I go, no. You could have 2 million people experience the exact same thing you do, and you could be the only one to experience it again. You were fully prepared to fix it. Why did all the other 2 million people experience that thing? No reason. There was no reason for it whatsoever. Statistically, everyone experiences the same thing eventually. Statistically. And not everything, but I think you get my point. Everyone's had relationships. Everyone's had breakups. Everyone knows what breakups feel like. Some people don't care as much, but they've still experienced breakups. Not everything happens for a reason, bottom line. That particular conversation stuck out with me. I think because we talked longer than usual that day. We talked for months. I don't even know how many months. Maybe it was close to a year, who knows? Maybe it was longer. And then one day, it was morning, and I saw her, same place as usual. We always came in at the same time. My lips are getting dry. Give me a second. Get that chapstick if you plan on talking too much. She comes up to me, and she wasn't nearly as happy-go-lucky. Like concerned or confused or something, right? Just not happy-go-lucky. She was always happy-go-lucky type girl. And she goes, Dustin, I'm going to tell you something. Okay. Honestly, my first thought was stop flirting with me. I have a problem with that, okay? I don't purposely flirt with everyone, but apparently the way I talk to people, I'm flirting with everyone. I've had so many guys, dude, stop flirting with my wife. I'm not. I said hi. Saying hi isn't flirt. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent here. She goes, I'm going to tell you something. And I don't want you to laugh at me. Okay. I don't want you to cheer for me. I don't want you to clap. I don't want you to get mad. I don't want you to laugh. She already said that. I think she said it twice anyway. Like, okay. So I'm like, okay, so something's going on and pretty important. She goes, it looked like she was ready to cry. And she goes, me and my husband are no longer Muslim. What? She goes, yeah, we are no longer Muslim. And I'm like, okay. And I'm trying to remember what she said. Don't get mad, don't laugh, don't cheer, don't clap, nothing. Why? She goes, well, now you know I tell my husband everything. I'm like, yeah, you guys have a pretty awesome relationship. She goes, so I've been relaying to him everything that we talk about. Every day we have a question to each other. I tell him what we talked about. Okay. And she goes, and one day we were just sitting, eating dinner, talking. And you could tell that there was some sort of confusion between us, some sort of tension. Like, okay. Then she goes, we were both thinking the same thing. Dustin's making a lot of sense. I'm like, really? Me making sense? Yeah, it's amazing. The stupid guy making a lot of, I haven't been wrong about much of what we talked about, but yeah, it's fine, whatever. That was running through my mind. I did not tell her any of that. I'm like, okay, go on. I can't help but joke about certain things. I joke about dire situations, okay? That's a story for another time. But she goes, finally we said that. I'm like, Dustin's making a lot of sense. She goes, he just nodded. You could tell he was already thinking it. She goes, so we went to the Quran, their Bible. And we decided to sit down and open it to the first page and start reading it. okay. She goes, I mean, we read it before, but the words that you used, you called it God glasses. Stop looking at it like a love letter. I got both of those from Seth Andrews, by the way. And I'm like, yeah. I've said that to her. I'm like, the Bible and the Quran, any of those religious texts don't make any sense if you stop looking at them like a love letter. Stop reading it like it's the absolute truth. She goes, so we were just a few chapters in, right? We were sitting there for a while, just reading it word for word. We were just a few chapters in, and I was still reading it. I'm still looking at the book, and my husband just closes the book. Boom. She goes, he closed it angrily. And he goes like this. He sits up. He looks at me, and he goes, this book is bullshit. I cannot even imagine him saying that because she never swore, because he never swore. I think it's against their religion to swear. So the fact that he said that, and he was still kind of new to English, the English language, by the way, which is, I'm sure he learned the word bullshit, but I cannot imagine him saying it. I've heard him on the phone, okay? I cannot imagine those words being spoken. This book is bullshit. And I went, wow. Okay. And I'm like racing through my head, like, am I supposed to teach you now? Am I supposed to school you? Classes are in session, $50 each? No, I'm just kidding. But I'm like, okay, so what now? And she goes, well, we still believe in God. Okay. That's not unreasonable to think that. Just because your religion's not working out does not mean you don't believe in God. This is a small step towards a very long journey if you ever make it to atheism, right? I don't know if she ever made it. We lost contact quite some time ago. She goes, but we're looking in different religions. And I'm like Christianity? Because you were a Christian before. Yeah, I was, but, there's different types of Christianity too. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot. And she goes, so we're going to be exploring. We're going to be asking the tough questions, as you put it. Why do you think your religion is real? I'm like, that is an excellent question. Why do you think your religion is real? Why do you think that your religion is the correct path to God? Am I really losing my voice? I've yelled at this microphone a lot more playing video games. Those are the difficult questions. Why is my religion correct? Why is your religion correct? Why do you have the salvation to God? What is the difference between yours and all the others that have not the same rules, but relatively close to the same rules, let alone the outlandish stories, like the outrageous claims? Talking donkeys, for example. It's in the Bible. Donkeys talked back then. Did you know that? So, that's not the last time we talked, but that was basically the last time we talked about beliefs and religion. And like I said, we talked a lot before. We still said hi. We were still friendly. If I ever saw her, hi, how are ya? I wonder how she is nowadays. I would love to have that kind of relationship with anybody here, any follower here, anyone who wants to just type in the chat, in the comment, or talk to me on the phone. I want to set up the phone lines thing. Obviously not my personal phone number, but you get my point. That's the kind of relationship I would like to have, because me and her, we had an awesome relationship. And mostly because of religion. I did make the joke to her once, and I'm like, no, hold on. Our whole relationship was based on how much we disagreed with each other. And you're just throwing that away? Like I said, I make jokes about everything. A small example to that, we had a neighbor, bald guy, like me, bald. He was creating quite the commotion. He's an angry drunk, and he was just obliterated, right? I don't know how much he had to drink or of what, but I just know he was trying to pick a fight with anyone walking down the street, to the point where the cops had to be called. Cops showed up, and it was me and my neighbors out on the porch just talking, and, the cop came up. Which guy is it? And my neighbor just pointed. He was like, the bald guy. And so the cop was walking by me, and I go, the other bald guy. Nobody laughed because it was a very serious situation, right? He was making all kinds of threats, saying that he had weapons of sorts. And here I am making jokes. I can't help it. So if you ever call me and you're having a serious situation and I make a joke, I'm just trying to ease the tension, and I can't help it. It doesn't mean I don't have a heart, and I'm not saying I'm not taking your situation seriously. I can't help it. That's why I'm putting it in this first episode, so you understand where I'm coming from. Hell of a tangent. I plan on doing this often. Not this, like making a podcast. I want to talk to people. I want to get guests on so I'm not killing my voice. Like I said, guests, call-ins, maybe some research. It's like, breaking news and early developments coming from the such and such church. I'm probably going to cut this one a little short today. I would like it to be close to an hour, but let's face it. It's just me talking. I'm getting through all my talking points. So, thank you for tuning in to the first episode of Why Do You Think? What do you think? That's why it has a nice ring to it, huh? What do you think? Why do you think? If you like this, go ahead and hit that follow button. Hit that like button so I know you liked it. Or, if you don't want to do any of that, just sit and chill, listen to the episodes. The algorithm says how long people sit and listen. I found that out the hard way. I'm like, wow, I got 50 views on one of my gaming videos. And it got like a minute. It's like, okay, most of the people left after the first minute. But I know some people enjoy it, so I'm going to keep doing that regardless. So, I'm going to end this with, if you have a question, a story, a wild idea you want me to cover, a topic, let me know. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to answer any questions, and I would love to, if you have any good ideas, I'd love to run with it. So thank you guys so much for watching. My name's Dustin. I usually go by Dustin YDU, but you can call me Dustin because I have a channel for Dustin YDU. And I hope to see you next time. Bye, guys.